There are two kinds of Scorpio people swear are identical until life proves otherwise. One strikes like a lit match in a dark field. The other moves like a tide you never see coming until the shoreline has already changed. Tonight, we're not here for horoscope fluff or recycled cliches. We're here to name the current running through you, why you burn the way you do, love the way you do, and transform the way only a Scorpio can. If you've ever looked at another Scorpio and thought, why do they act nothing like me? You're not broken and you're not less Scorpio. You're tuned to a different octave of the same song. Two currents, one river. Stay with me to the end because somewhere in the next hour I'm going to hand you a key. It will let you do what Scorpio does best, see in the dark. You'll understand why your timing rarely matches other people's. Why some rooms react to you with instant heat while other rooms go quiet. And why the way you end chapters fast and visible or slow and subterranean has always been your private signature. Before we begin, take a breath with me. Inhale, hold, exhale. Good. You're stepping into a space where mystery isn't dramatics, it's data. And data to a Scorpio is survival. Method, how we're truly comparing and why it matters. You've heard October Scorpio and November Scorpio. It's an easy doorway, and we'll use those words for clarity. But the deeper engine under those labels is something serious. Astrologers rely on the three Scorpio decans, the early degrees, the middle degrees, and the late degrees of Scorpio. Each carries a different flavor of your sign's core initiation: raw Mars force, sovereign presence, solar gravity, and magnetic strategy, Venusian lure. Most October Scorpios cluster into the early decan. Most November Scorpios fall into the middle and late decans. That's why the two currents idea feels true in real life, because it loosely maps to where your sun actually sits in the sign. Why should you care? Because you don't just want identity, you want leverage. When you know your current fast heat or deep tide, you stop arguing with your own nature. You stop trying to love like someone else's Scorpio fight, like someone else's Scorpio heal, like someone else's Scorpio. You still transform, but now you do it on purpose. Difference 1. The social charge versus the strategic reserve. Picture a rooftop gathering in New York. Autumn airstring lights, low conversation. Two Scorpios arrive 10 minutes apart. Jade walks in first. She doesn't announce herself, she doesn't have to. The energy lifts 3 degrees on contact. People pivot toward her without knowing why. She listens with her eyes as much as with her ears, laughs from the diaphragm, and answers questions with a directness that somehow reads as charm instead of threat. If there's music, she's the first to move, not to perform, but to inhabit the room. When a question hangs, she catches it midair and says what everyone's skirting around, clean and quick. You feel seen, maybe a little challenged and wildly alive. 20 minutes later, Noah steps through the same door. He doesn't attract attention. Attention drifts to him. He's not invisible, he's unreadable. The conversation near him slows, deepens, asks better questions. He watches the whole field before he speaks, and when he does, people lean in. He'll stand near the balcony rail, eye on the skyline, listening for what isn't being said. He's not hungry for the room, he's measuring the currents. And somehow by the end of the night, he knows exactly who's loyal, who's loud, and who's quietly in charge. Jade is the social charge, magnetic, overt, immediately felt. Noah is the strategic reserve, magnetic too, but veiled, delayed, cumulative. Both are unmistakably Scorpio. The difference is not intensity, it's delivery system. In the workplace, Jade thrives where leadership needs ignition. Pitch meetings, launch days, crisis hours where someone has to name the truth and cut a path through the fog. Her presence clears static and rallies will, but the same visibility draws counterforce people who want to test her, compete with her, or attach to her momentum without doing the work. Her lesson isn't to dim, it's to master the dimmer switch to decide when to blaze and when to glow so her energy fuels results rather than feeding on itself. Noah, meanwhile, is lethal in strategy cycles when a project needs depth, pattern recognition, and timing. He's the one who reads the subtext of a partner's email and saves the deal with a single precisely worded line. He'll let a noisy opponent tire themselves out step once and end the conflict. His risk. Staying so far inside the shadows that recognition misses him. Promotions pass him and his power turns into a private myth. His lesson isn't to perform, it's to reveal selectively and on his terms, so his influence is traceable enough to be rewarded, not just felt and forgotten. In love, Jade's current is visible. She doesn't love halfway. If she desires you, the room knows. She'll flirt with intention, claim with a look, and defend the bond with a blade you never see coming. Her vulnerability is exquisite because it's displayed with honor. She believes in stakes and shows up for them. The danger is performative intimacy, creating a theater of closeness before the foundation is built. Her evolution is to keep the flame, but slow the fuel, make sure heat is anchored to truth, not just to the thrill of being fully seen. Noah's love moves like an undercurrent. He tests for safety, quietly reveals his inner rooms key by key, and once he grants access, there is no exit without consequence. He won't serenade you in public. He'll remember your grandfather's watch needs repair and have it fixed without telling you. His danger is opacity, assuming that love understood without words will be protected without agreements. His evolution is to speak the pact aloud, not just live it, so the bond he guards in the dark can breathe in the light. Both styles carry Scorpio's signature presence that alters the environment. But if you're honest, one of these descriptions is home base. A story from the field. A client wrote to me years ago, 2 Scorpios married, both successful, both devoted, both exhausted by a pattern they couldn't name. She, an October-born, felt like their relationship lived in the open only when she carried it there. He, a mid-November Scorpio, felt ambushed by public vulnerability and thrived in private rituals that to him meant more than any public display. They loved each other fiercely and misread each other constantly. She interpreted his reserve as doubt. He read her visibility as performance. We reframed it as currents. You're the match. He's the tide. Neither is less fire. Your job isn't to become each other, it's to choreograph. They set 2 agreements, 1 weekly ritual that was theirs alone, no phones, no guests, no photos, and 1 monthly moment where he would publicly name the relationship in a way that felt authentic to him. Within 3 months, the resentment dropped, not because they changed who they were, but because they gave both currents a channel. Life lesson difference 1. If you are the social charge, your power multiplies when you decide where visibility advances your mission and where discretion preserves it. If you are the strategic reserve, your power multiplies when you allow recognition to find you because traceable impact becomes lasting authority. Neither current needs to imitate the other, but both currents need to honor the other to build a life that doesn't leak. Reflection prompt. In the comments, write 1 sentence. My current is what? Choose charge or reserve and then add 1 place this month where you'll either dim to focus or reveal to be rewarded. Difference. 2. Love boundaries and the way you heal after impact. There's a reason Scorpio relationships are whispered about, too intense, too private, too much. The truth is simpler. You bond at a depth most people never visit, but the current you swim in changes how you reveal love and how you repair it after the inevitable storm. Picture 2 first dates. Arya, whose sun sits in Scorpio's early degrees, doesn't fence sit. If she's in, she's unmistakably in. She'll turn a simple dinner into a field of electricity, eye contact, held a second longer than polite questions that bypass small talk and find the truth vein. Her affection is kinetic. If she trusts you, She'll show you texts that land before sunrise, a spontaneous drive to watch the tide, a hand that finds yours in public without ceremony. She believes in naming the bond and protecting it openly. Marcus, whose sun leans into Scorpio's late degrees, loves no less. He just loves like a vault opens one combination at a time. He'll learn the patterns that calm your nervous system, remember the story you told about 6th grade, and later in silence buy the book your teacher once assigned because he wants to meet the child you were. He doesn't seduce with volume, he seduces with precision. His displays are rare and exact. When he commits, it's not a yes, it's a vow. Now the fracture. Aria's argument arrives with heat and a visible edge when she's hurt. She won't scream to make a point, she'll sharpen the point until it cuts. Her transparency becomes a blade. This crossed a line. You know where you stand, even if it stings. She bleeds in color anger, grief longing, and then she cleans the wound in daylight. The danger is confusing catharsis with repair, venting with resolution. If she moves on too quickly, the cut closes over a splinter and the pain returns later, harder to reach. Marcus bleeds in the dark. If you hurt him, the lights go out. The conversation you think you're having is over. He has already stepped into the inner chamber where he decides whether the bond survives. He will not punish you publicly. He will retreat, observe, and either emerge with a deeper, more sacred agreement, or with a silence that ends the story without announcing the ending. The danger is letting absence do the work words must do, which can turn a solvable rupture into permanent distance. Repair styles reflect your current. If your current is visible, love. Your evolution is to add ritual to passion, scheduled check-ins, clear boundaries, and repair protocols you both consent to when you're calm. Your gift is courage. Your growth is restraint. If your current is sacred secrecy, your evolution is to make the vow audible agreements spoken out loud, affection signaled where it counts, and a promise to return to the table within 24 hours after conflict. Your gift is depth. Your growth is disclosure. A story from the field. 2 lovers, both Scorpio. She needed the world to know their bond. He needed the world to stay outside their door. Neither was wrong. We created a 2-layer pact, public signals they chose together. Not performative, not constant, just chosen and private rituals that no one else would ever see. The public signals satisfied her need to feel claimed. The private rituals satisfied his need to protect the sacred. The relationship stopped arguing about how love should look and started feeling like love again. Life lesson difference 2. Love doesn't weaken when you right-size its container. The visible current learns to protect the flame from wind. The sacred current learns to let the flame be seen so it can warm the room it's meant to warm. Reflection prompt. Write 1 vow in the comments, 1 sentence you can keep. When I'm hurt, I will. Within 24 hours. Make it a behavior, not a feeling. Name the current you're choosing, reveal or retreat, and return. Difference 3. Intuition, decisive. Strike versus telescope. Patience. Scorpio intuition is not a hunch. It's an instrument tuned to micro shifts in tone, timing, posture, and the unsaid. But the way you use that instrument can look like 2 different arts. Decisive strike is the match you sense, the pattern you act. Telescope patience is the tide you sense, the pattern you wait for, the exact window where action is irreversible. Think of a founder choosing a co-founder. Cam, early degree Scorpio, hears the subtext in a single meeting and makes the call. He has a gift for catching the signal before others see the constellation. That speed is a superpower. He seizes opportunities that die while others deliberate. His risk is acting at frame, not film, locking onto a true signal before the whole picture loads. The refinement isn't to slow down into doubt. It's to add a 2-step, confirm the pattern with 1 independent data point, then move. 2 points make a line. He doesn't need a triangle, he needs a check. Ren, late degree Scorpio, clocks the same pattern and lets it live in his periphery. He watches what the person does when no one is looking, tests for consistency over time, and waits for a moment that will not have to be undone. That patience is a weapon in a world that rewards flash over fiber. His risk is turning patience into postponement, waiting so long the window closes. The refinement isn't to rush, it's to define a decision horizon in advance. When X and Y are both true by this date, I will act on Z. Crisis showcases both arts. When a problem hits at midnight, a vendor fails a hard drive, crashes. A rumor spreads, Cam will improvise and stabilize the field. Lives have been saved by this capacity. Ren will keep his center and see the lever the rest of the room missed one move that dissolves the entire knot at 6 a.m. Lives have been changed by that too. Life lesson difference 3. Your intuition is architecture. If you move fast, add one stabilizing beam before you build the next floor. If you move slow, set a date to pour the concrete. Action without scaffolding collapses. Planning without pour dates becomes a drawing. Reflection prompt. In the comments, finish this sentence. My intuition works best when I optimize before I act. Choose your beam verification or your pour date deadline. Difference 4. Power visible leadership versus invisible leverage. Power is not domination in Scorpio country. It's voltage, how much change moves through you when you decide to engage. The current you live in decides whether that voltage is obvious to the room or operates through the walls. Visible leadership is the matchmaking light in a dark room. Invisible leverage is the tide turning the harbor beneath the boats. Visible leadership arrives without apology. You don't need the mic, you are the mic. You align a team in 15 minutes by saying what no one else will say. You become a weather system in spaces that crave clarity. Your shadow price is target shape, attention draws admiration, and rivalry in equal measure. Your evolution is to install a lightning rod, boundaries that ground surge energy into results. Choose your arenas. Protect your recovery. Demand receipts for access. Invisible leverage sits a little back from the table, asks 3 questions that shift the entire conversation, and leaves the decision makers thinking they decided. You win without the drum roll. Your shadow price is invisibility. Wins can be misattributed value, undercounted influence mistaken for luck. Your evolution is traceability, one visible contribution per cycle that marks your hand on the result, not showboating. Signatures. Story vignette: the boardroom. 2 Scorpios join the same company during a volatile year. Maya, October born, becomes the face of 2 critical turnarounds. She makes the hard calls, protects her team publicly, and sets the cadence people can march to. She also takes hits, jealous peers, a senior exec who wants her to be less much, and a rumor cycle that tests her resolve. She learns to channel that heat. She picks 3 priorities per quarter, delegates everything else, and moves her visibility where it actually moves the needle. Theo, November born, becomes the quiet architect. He maps the root cause. No one named renegotiates one supplier contract that changes the margin profile, and mentors the one engineer who becomes the lever for everything. He learns to write the memo after he moves the mountain, documenting the path, giving credit where it's due, and making his own hand legible. Promotions follow not because he campaigned, but because no one can honestly tell the story of the win without naming him. Life lesson difference 4. Power leaks when it's spent on proving you have it. Power compounds when spent on the moves only you can make. If you're the visible current, spend 10% of your energy on record keeping and boundary enforcement. If you're the invisible current, spend 10% on the one action that makes your work unmistakable. Reflection prompt: choose one. This month I will be seen for, or this month I will be measured by outcome. Fill in a single concrete outcome. Difference. 5. Transformation, fast, Phoenix versus slow metamorphosis. No sign ends and begins like Scorpio. The question isn't whether you transform, it's how you do it without burning your own house or freezing your own spring. Fast Phoenix burns what's over and rises with ash still on the wind. Slow metamorphosis sinks cocoons and waits until the new wings are strong behind the veil. Fast Phoenix looks like this: the job ends on Friday. Your new project launches Monday. The relationship collapses in October. By December, you've moved, changed your number, and started therapy. You honor endings by making them clean. Your danger is leaving too fast for the marrow to catch up. You outrun grief and then wonder why your chest tightens months later without a cause. Slow metamorphosis looks like this: the job ends and you enter winter on purpose. You read walk journal and keep your circle small. You let your nervous system rewrite itself, and when spring comes, you return like you never fell, only deeper, quieter, more exact. Your danger is letting winter steal your summer, waiting for readiness that only arrives after you step. Rituals that protect each path. If you're a phoenix, build integration, holds after every ending. 3. Non-negotiables: a body, practice, sweat, a meaning, practice, right, and a boundary practice. No new commitments for 2 weeks. Put them on the calendar before you light the match. If you're metamorphosis at re-entry dates, small staged returns to motion. A coffee meeting, a soft launch, a public commitment you can keep. Mark them before you go under. You're not rushing, you're timing. A story from the field: a Scorpio artist closed a 5-year collaboration overnight correctly and felt whole for the first time in months. 2 weeks later, panic. We didn't reopen the door. We opened a window, 1 month of deliberate stillness with 3 re-entry dates pre-written into the calendar. He didn't go back to the past, he let the future come on time. Life lesson. Difference 5. Transformation fails when you fight your native speed. It succeeds when you design for it. Phoenix, hold yourself in the afterburn. Metamorphosis, promise yourself a dawn. Reflection prompt: write 1 sentence: after my next ending, I will hawk for days. Make it measurable, then keep it. Integration 2. Currents 1. River. Here is the secret most Scorpios never master. You don't have to abandon your current to gain the other's gift. You borrow it on purpose at the right moments. If you're the match, adopt 1 tide habit: silent observation for 24 hours before a major move. Your fire gets smarter. If you're the tide, adopt 1 match habit, 1 visible statement at the moment of pivot. Your depth gets traction. In practice, this sounds like, we'll decide Friday after I sleep on it, or I'm ready to move, here's what I'm doing and when. It looks like a public yes that you actually want a private no that you hold without apology. Closing the key you came for. You are not less Scorpio because you don't look like the last Scorpio you met. You are the same river at a different bend. The people who will walk with you don't need you to change currents. They need you to steer yours. Use what you learned tonight. Name your current charge or reserve match or tide. Design your rituals, repair protocols, decision horizons, recovery, holds, re-entry dates. Borrow the opposite strength. 1 habit, small and specific, that unlocks the part of your power you've left in the dark. And when you look in the mirror tomorrow, notice what shifts when you stop arguing with your nature and start designing around it. That is the moment Scorpio power stops being a rumor and becomes a practice. Call to action. If this spoke to you, subscribe to the Path to Buddha Wisdom. Here we don't do sugar and sound bites. We do depth. We do usable mysticism. Comment with your birth date window, early, mid, or late Scorpio, and tell me 1 ritual you're adopting this month. Then share this with the Scorpio who once felt too much or not enough. They were neither. They were simply tuned to a different octave of our same song. Next episode, I'll take you further inside your decan, what your specific degree range says about money timing, love thresholds, and the exact places your power either leaks or multiplies. Stay close, the doors open,